Hi, that was my version of the classic song I Saw the Light, and in this video I want to show you how to play it. Now, I Saw the Light was written in 1948 by country singer Hank Williams, and it's a nice, catchy, upbeat piece of country gospel music. Now, although it wasn't that popular on its initial release, since then it's become extremely famous. There have been many cover versions of it, and it's one of the most instantly recognisable pieces of gospel music out there. I've heard different stories as to where Hank Williams got the inspiration for the music. I've heard that it's supposedly loosely based on an old Scottish song called Bonnie Charlie, but when you hear the two pieces of music together, although there are some minor similarities, they are quite different, and it's hard to believe that one song's based on the other. I've also heard it's based on another song called He Set Me Free by Albert Brumley, and when you hear that put next to this song, you can see quite a lot of similarities, not only in the music but also in the lyrics and the overall theme of the song. Irrespective of that though, let's get on with learning to play this piece of music. So I've played through my version of it. Now what I want to do is have a look at the song structure, then give you some playing tips, and lastly I want to play it slower with the tab on screen so you can see how to play it yourself. Now I have a look at the structure of the song, and this one's nice and easy. In my version I'm playing in the key of D, and I'm playing it on a guitar tuned to open D tuning. The chords I'm using are D, G and A, which are the standard chords you would expect to find, but I'm also adding in a B minor, and there's maybe some issue with me doing that, but I'll discuss that later. Now, the structure of the song is nice and straightforward. It's basically just 8 bars repeated throughout the entire song. Now, when you listen to the original, you'll hear it's verse, chorus, etc. through the entire song. But the thing is, the verse and the chorus are basically the same structure. So they're both 8 bars long, they both have the same chord structure. The only difference is the melody line. Now in my version I've just played through the verse once and the chorus once, and that really gives you all you need for this piece of music, and you can just keep repeating that throughout the entire song as much as you want. However, there is a slight issue with the structure, and I've been scratching my head a bit over it. Now if you look at my version, at the end of this 8 bar sequence I've put in a 2/4 bar that links into the next one. And that would happen at the end of every single 8 bar sequence, whether it's the verse or the chorus. Now, I got this from listening to the music and taking it out, and nearly every version I've listened to, it looks like it has this 2/4 bar in it. However, having a look around, and you can see some sheet music online, none of them have this 2/4 bar in it. They're all just 4/4 bars. Anyway, that's what I've put down in my version, and that's what I think sounds correct to the music. In terms of playing, it's a nice straightforward piece of fingerstyle guitar music. It employs a Travis picking pattern that I've used in many of my other videos. So if you're comfortable with this style of playing, there shouldn't be too much to trip you up here. So anyway, that's a brief look at the structure. Now let's have a look at some tips on playing it. Okay, now for some tips on playing it. Now, the first thing I want to talk about is the tempo of the music. It's actually quite quick, and I think this piece of music really lends itself to quite a quick tempo. However, as the tempo goes up, the piece of music gets harder to play. And although there's nothing too taxing within it, once the tempo starts getting quite fast, forming the bar chords and that can be a bit more tricky. So, like all pieces of music, start learning it slowly until you get the hang of it, and then you can build up the tempo, or just play it at the tempo you're comfortable with. Now the next thing I want to talk about, which I mentioned earlier in the video, is the fact that I've put in a B minor chord. Now it's only in briefly, and it occurs, if you take the 8 bar sequence, it occurs halfway through bar 6 and then changes again back to a D chord in bar 7. And where I got this from is I was listening to a version of it by the Holmes Brothers, which is a cracking version by the way, and I encourage you to listen to it. And it sounds like they do this. in bar 6 of this 8-bar sequence, halfway through, they throw in a cheeky wee B minor, or cheeky minor chord, depending on what key they're playing in. And I think this adds a lot to the music. However, if it's causing you any problems, or you just don't like the sound of it, just leave it out. The way it works, at the start of bar 6, you're in the chord of D, you then switch for 2 beats to the B minor and then back to D. So if you want, just play it straight through with the D chord. And that'll be more true to the original, but I think it sounds nice with that minor chord added in. Now the last thing I want to talk about is rephrasing the melody line. So when you listen to the original by Hank Williams, it can sound a wee bit rigid and, I don't know, slightly stuffy. But when you listen to other versions, it can feel more free and loose. And this is to do with how the melody line is phrased within it. So when I wrote my version, I rephrased the melody line from the original to give it a more bouncy, catchy feel that I liked. However, there is a lot of scope for you to rephrase the melody line to your taste. So just because a note's in a certain position doesn't mean you can't move it an eighth step one way or the other. You know, there may be a quarter note or whatever that you want to play as an eighth note. You may want to add in some more intermittent notes. But the thing is, don't think you have to stick rigidly to how this melody line's phrased. Look at different ways of phrasing it to suit your taste. Anyway, that's enough about the structure and some tips on playing it. Now what I want to do is play through it slower with the tab on screen so you can see the fingerings for the music.